The compound is up next on Creeper World 4, and this is a planet that really is a hinge. After this, we will have turned the corner towards the final sprint, both narratively and gameplay-wise, in the Farsite Expedition campaign. Some things need protecting. We don't know where we are. There's a buried device or artifact broadcasting a weak signal using a known protocol containing ID and metadata, indicative of an information storage device containing encrypted data. Okay, so somebody from our civilization or a similar civilization has been here. The holy language of the ancients. Much as you are holy and this vessel is holy, the cache is also holy. We must retrieve. Praise be the founders. What's holy about, a backup team junior scientist for the Rift Lab exactly? And I'm really impressed that you managed to pronounce, or spell rather, holy repeatedly accurately. That's actually the biggest thing I'm going to take away from what Preacher just said. Sentry drones detected, says Sarge. Only to protect high-value assets. Okay, establish a base of operations, then conduct assaults. Anything within range of the sentry drone will be destroyed. Destroy them from a distance with snipers. Yet another use for snipers. Nullify everything. And the hippie is sad. Our actions have not been in accordance with peaceful intention. We don't have peaceful intentions. We should always consider the alternatives. I have added anti-creeper messengers to our abilities. They are bombers, but with a better message. We are different yet the same. Use these when we may establish a dialogue. It's not like they're dropping pamphlets or propaganda material or, food supplies. They're weapons, hippie. Don't try to dress this up. Anyway, right over here, AC bombers. Naturally, they use AC, and they are the same price as regular bombers. So, what do we have? Well, we have a literal compound over here. This is where we establish our base. We got trees, we got greenar, read-on, resource, terrain, lots of room, etc. behind this wall. And then we have emitters. A couple of them connected to mesh. We have 5 of them. They are all weak, but on short intervals, so when you add it all up, total is going to be 250 per second, which is the same as the last map. There's our vital info cache, of course, and we need to activate the totems, which are here on top of the compound. That's a hint towards what our strategy is, that everything is up there. And these produce the sentries. Then we've got your typical spore launchers, skimmers, and blobs as well, but they are a considerable distance away. So here's our initial build that I'm doing. I've got the towers all spread out, up on the walls, connected to both sides. We've got our miners in place. And our goal is just to defend all of this initially, then expand later. We have sentry drones. They're getting produced. They're going to walk around the rim here of the compound on this railing, or whatever you want to call it. They will multiply. We'll need to deal with them later. And the reason I'm starting up this direction is this is where the creeper is going to get faster. This emitter's closer. The mesh is just going to take it in here. So we'll have more time down here. This is the priority. And also, we can cross better here. We do not care about anything that happens down in this area. It's all about crossing over, holding the high ground. Which is why I have my cannons, one on each side of the wall here, set to mesh, not creeper, which is the default. Because I've set them to creeper, they'll shoot down at this area, especially after they increase their range, and just let the enemy come up over the wall with the mesh. They need to keep this mesh from getting over the wall in any significant amount. Meanwhile, we have our trees here, contributing to our economy. Yes, you're warning us about the AC bomber. We'll get to that. And we now have economy, so let's get that going. Usual build of all our basic resources now that energy is underway. We'll throw a terp down here. And let's get some weapons rolling. I'm going to want to throw sniper. I'm going to put 4 of them total up. And then we're going to do 3 missile launchers. There's not a whole lot of read-on on this map, so I'm only going with what I think is the minimum for good coverage. There we go. And it looks like we have some urns underway. Let's get them set in place. The usual 4 energy, mining, fire rate, fire range. And then we want to begin to get some weapons rolling. Throw up a couple mortars. And some cannons. I'm going to pylon over here. This is where we're going to cross. And we need our terp here to get us in business for that. So we will terraform. Right there, because I need to cross here with a pylon, and up here is too far away. So that's the whole plan there. Also, I want the rest of my urns to go in the snipers. The ones that are not being used in the urn portal. I actually built one more sniper here than I wanted, but that's fine. It's not the end of the world. Slide you forward. We're going to get a runway moving. This has to be spaced just right. We'll get back to that. Just getting the runway up at this point. We'll pylon here. And you can come over. Looks like I actually only got one mortar down. I wanted a second one. So let's build another. While that's crossing, we'll throw up some AC bombers. Won't be using them yet. I'm just getting them ready. Let's see, I think I want one more for a total of 7. We'll eventually target you over here. Okay, I want to establish myself on this. So the first thing I want to do is get cannons in place. Plus another sniper. And then I can bring more stuff over afterwards. But these are just to clear the way initially. It's really difficult to keep all the energy supplied here to this sniper, which is why I'm bringing over another one right away. Because it just uses energy so much. You can see these are starting to come close. Sniper's slowing down. But we will handle it. There we go. Now we've got another one that's getting energy. Between the two of them, they should make short work of this. Okay, now let's bring you over. Let's get a tower in place, a couple of them, just to connect along those. Just bring over you wherever you feel like sitting. And now that should all be secure so I can work on the rest of my bombers. I'm going to go with 7 of these as well. So these, I'm going to use the squad control there. I'll want to move them as a unit later on. But for the rest of these, I just sort of want to like target them various places. I want them to spread out individually. They will stagger their reloads, which will save me some energy. And also, just, you know, let's keep this stash area under control. It's already thrown out a wave towards us. Maybe throw one here. One over here. I can move them. The idea is they're just going to keep the overall level of creeper from being too ridiculous and spread out their attacks effectively, we hope. Okay. Next up, we're going to connect here. We're going to try to pylon there and there. Let's move one of you over here. And you can see just the snipers are kind of going crazy here. They've got sentry drones to fight. They've got blobs to fight. They have, you know, skimmers and every other darn thing. This map is sniper heaven. But utilizing these areas as safe zones to move around the map is really useful in my opinion. And I think these are taken off. How are we doing? Okay, the energy is... I'm seeing how we're doing with refilling energy as our bombers take off. I think we're doing okay. We're going to switch now over to bluite, because I'll need all these miners on bluite to support this type of aerial attack from my AC. And then we have some more of this. I do want to throw a micro rift here and one over here. And then I'll probably build some more later up in this way if I remember to. So, let's move out. I need to slide this way, you know, and I'd rather have my mortars fighting over here. Let's put another one of you out. I don't want to completely eliminate the weapons over here, but I shouldn't need more than just, say, the one cannon here to hold all of this, particularly as we get going. So you can slide down here, build another tower along, and let's just gradually ramp up our firepower. We can see these are the balls of AC that those bombers are dropping. That's working very well. This whole area is just clear, so I can nullify this. And just sort of want to keep moving along on the high ground. Let's go ahead and move you here. This is, yeah, you're starting to spread. So, selecting one of these and doing the whole select squad thing over here. This is the first time I've really used squads in this game, but I think it's useful. I'm just going to move you this way, because there isn't any creeper really from this direction. So let's have you fire back more in this direction. And if I pile on here, once again, I want to move as quickly as I can. Well, that didn't work too well, did it? So what I'm actually going to want to do then is move. We're starting to get waves. So this is nullified, which will help, of course. We can continue piloning across to a degree. We've got you up here now to guard this, hopefully, and keep that under control. And then once we get this shield up, then I can put, you know, my sniper up that way. Let's keep moving. Let's get all of you out this way. And you're not needed as much here. Move you out this way. And our liftic is going up. Looking pretty strong here. Let's get you here. Actually, you're the one that doesn't have an urn. Let's pull you down. Nope. I think I'd like to secure this area next. Onwards. I definitely need more weapons. We are starting to get some more income, so I think this here would be a decent spot for a micro rift. You know, sort of advanced up in this area, and then it can move out to wherever it needs to, but shorten our supply chain, particularly for those earned snipers. Put you there. Tower along. I definitely need... Yeah, I don't have any snipers out this way. You need to come up here. Let's see if we can throw you up there. If we can get away with that, we'll be in business. You see, these are coming along and almost got close enough to knock me out. Yeah, these are just barely covering, but let's be in a little bit better position there. Nullify. And taking a look at all my bomber targeting, but I think we're looking pretty good. This one will move as soon as that goes. Getting our liftic up. Let's move you in here. And we are definitely going to do the info cache last on this mission. Reason being, there's a whole bunch of information we're going to be given when we get it. And I know not everybody is super exposition, happy, so, if you're just here for the gameplay, feel free to bug out when we get to that point. But, we lost our sniper. That's unfortunate. Let's throw you up there. And we'll throw an urn on you. And this is nullified. Let's move you over here. And I think I want to retarget all of you over this way as well. So, to complete the mission, we need this totem, and this totem. And you can see we're not far away from that. We're looking pretty good. We've got a couple of emitters nullified. You can see the overall creeper strength. Not a lot here. So we just need to make sure we're getting everything connected up to power. And, most of you can come this way. We could build a lot more weapons if we need them. I don't think we do. We're looking very good, all in all. So let's pile on. That looks like a good connection. I will build some more regular snipers, though. I don't want to run out. Okay. So that didn't work too well because of eggs. Well, that's a very short-term problem. Sort of waiting to get this built so I can bring in reinforcements over there. But I think I would be doing well to come over this way also. You know what? Let's just build it up there. That's not actually quite connected, but we can like tower down here. We can throw one of our snipers up there. We can throw one of our snipers up here. Let's just, make a general nuisance of ourselves. Yeah, move one of you over this way. Let's start targeting that way a little bit more, actually. Move all of our AC that way. And then you can go maybe out there. I think that makes sense. You see, we're keeping this flattened out here. Not a whole lot going on there. We're just happy in general. So we just got the one more to go. Let's just slide out some firepower that way. Get a couple mortars over here to give them a piece of our mind. And we might as well bring up the Terp, because we're going to need it to access our ultimate target here. Let's pile on there. And there, and there. Putting some towers along here, just for the interim. There's another eruption from the stash, but I don't think we care. Did lose pylon here, perhaps, or maybe I never put one quite up there. All right. So, that is our totems. And all that's left is to dig down in here and see what the info cache has to say to us. So, a digging and digging and digging the Terp goes, and we must prepare ourselves for the magnificent glory of Creeper World Story. Here we go. Data encrypted. Authorized access only. Enter decryption passphrase. Challenge. Hey kid, did you ever actually purge that system cache? I'm not sure your grandfather would approve of such sloppy work. Director Hale. Passphrase is, Dr. Hale's an idiot! Yes, well, we needed to be reminded one more time that Danu began this journey as a complete and total brat, so we've accomplished that. Decryption key valid. Cache data dump follows. Hey kid, I guess you are wondering how a message from good old Director Hale ended up in an alien info cache on a strange and remote world. Well, I'm wondering a great many things, but yes, that is one of them. You always preferred direct answers, so here goes. First, this isn't a remote world. It's Mars. You never left Mars. And Danu accepts this far too easily. All of these worlds were Mars? Yes, I know each world you have visited has appeared different from the last. That's because you've been hopping through time, not space, with each rift jump. Your rift engine has a flaw. There's a compensation factor that is necessary. All of the details are in this info cache. It will be a simple integration. And we get a hint of the scale here along with the smart aleck millions of years later. Does this actually make any sense? Hint, no, it's Creeper World. Of course it doesn't make sense. Look at the planets we've already visited, and I think this is a really not even that bad of a twist. When it comes to, you know, you've been going through time, not space. But Mars, if you look at Shattered, the 12th mission, or if you look at Tower of Darkness, the one we just completed before this, you know, those are planets that are completely broken up. How did they get reformed? Who put them back together, and why? You know, there's nothing there. There's no explanation that makes sense. What's important for you to know is that we came after you. After those meteor strikes and the Creeper arrived, we took shelter underground and survived. Once you jumped, the Creeper disappeared as fast as it arrived. I'm sure you have encountered terrible amounts of Creeper in your travels so far. We have. But Danu's honestly touched you. That's awesome. Surviving was enough. You didn't have to come after me. We rebuilt the program after you left, built a new jump vessel, and came after you. Or so we thought. We too jumped through time. Each time we landed on what we thought was a new world, but eventually came to realize was Mars at different ages. After many jumps, we landed in a time when Mars was populated. This, it would turn out, was an incredible stroke of luck. And you were always the lucky one. You see, the history of our galaxy is that civilizations emerge, human civilizations. Each grows to greatness in one form or another. Then the Creeper arrives and destroys almost everything. Then there is a period of chaos and desolation. The random survivors on a few scattered worlds slowly rebuild civilization over millennia. Sometimes they start from the Stone Age. These periods of darkness are long, and the periods of galactic civilization always very short. Creeper seems drawn to complexity. So once a civilization is vast and complete, the Creeper culls it. Now that is indeed horrible, but again, the facts don't fit here. Let's just consider the fact that, you know, Dr. Hale and whoever else is with him rebuilt the program, jumping through time. What happened to the Creeper destroying almost everything? You know, knocking people back to the Stone Age, slowly rebuilding over millennia. They didn't have to do that. They just hit an underground shelter, hopped back in there, built a new machine, and whee, off they went. And if that's possible, if you can escape the Creeper that way, why didn't everybody do it? Are all the other human civilizations that managed to form massive galactic empires really so stupid that they couldn't figure out how to hide in an underground shelter, at which point the Creeper would just go away and forget they're there? Like, seriously? That's what you're trying to sell me here. So to land in a time with a civilization at its peak is a 1 in a million event. But land in one we did. We learned much from the people of that time. We learned about the flaw in our Rift engine and that it seemed like an intentional design. We can thank your grandfather for that, I presume. I bet we can. Okay, so this is a Rogue One type of thing. You know, you've got this intentional flaw to push things in a certain direction. I don't mind that as sort of a story bit. But think about the landing in a time with a civilization at its peak is 1 in a million event. Well, it took several thousand years for us to get from the Stone Age to where we are now, and presumably much longer to become galactic civilization. But go back to Archon. You know, the Archon Council, Natrum, the world with all the rain. They said that they had had, you know, long-term battles with the Creeper. This was a civilization that had tens of thousands of worlds. This is not something that was over in a couple weeks. So there's, you know, like decades, if not centuries of time where you could land into an advanced civilization, even while the war is going on. That's not even talking about the parts where they built up to that. I mean, I know they're talking about civilization at its peak, but there are galactic civilizations at various levels in much wider time frames than they're describing. We learned about the history of the people we came to know. But more importantly, they learned from us. We were from what they called the origin world Earth. For them, it was a myth. Little did they know Earth was the third planet in the very system we arrived in. Word quickly spread of our arrival. Scientists came from all across the galaxy to study and talk with us. Our biology, our historical records, our technology, once they studied us, they were able to piece together the story of the galaxy. They weren't the second civilization, they were hundreds of galactic civilizations before them, each leaving scattered ruins. But I digress. Yep, ruins of some cold civilization that didn't know what an underground shelter was. Kid, we looked for you, but it became clear we would never catch you. Each jump we took always put us behind you in the temporal timeline, as opposed to all the other kinds of timelines. So we did the next best thing. We created this info cache and placed it here on, quote, Mars. We built this compound to protect it for as long as possible. We knew in time the creeper would come. But we learned that some things would survive the creeper, and we hoped this would be one. It was the best we could do. If you're reading these words, it worked. You always found a way to get the job done. Why would this be any different? You always find the way to come up with random nonsense also. Okay. You have two sort of ships jumping forward through time. You've got the one with Dr. Hale and company. You've got the one with Danu Seloy. Danu leaves first. He's ahead. They're following. They're jumping behind him. They never catch him. It's impossible for them to catch him. Millions of years pass. How do they get ahead of him to place an info cache in his path and build this big compound around it? How does any of that work? And then also, let's look at this compound. Is this a compound built by humans to protect against creeper? Does that make sense? We've got sentry drones all the way around it. Well, I mean, the creeper could have corrupted that technology. We've seen that in previous games. That could work. But they've got all of these emitters in it. They've got the stash and the blobs and the skimmers and all of this stuff around it. They've possessed this compound. We had to attack this compound. The creeper controlled it when we got here. They got the mesh all over the place. This isn't a compound that the creeper didn't get to and destroy before we got here. And if they had totally infested this, why couldn't they get to the info cache if it was ever going to be vulnerable to them at all? This would make a lot more sense narratively if we had a situation where you come to an info cache and its defenses have just failed and the creeper's outside and you've got this big defensive struggle. But in an attack mission, the compound the creeper controls, yet it was built by Seloy, who's further behind in the timeline and never could have gotten ahead of you to begin with? No, I'm not buying what you're selling. What's important is what you do now. You have a choice. You should have arrived after the fall of my civilization. How long it has been, I can't know for sure. But you are in a desert between civilizations, so your choices are: you can correct your rift engine and stop hopping through time, or you can keep jumping and take your chances with what you might find. Perhaps you too will eventually land in a civilization near its peak. Yeah, not great choices. So I'm sure you're thinking, going home isn't one of the options. Yeah, that's right. The best you can do is make a new home. I'm long gone. Everyone you know has been gone for countless years. Everything that mattered to hundreds of galactic generations is gone. Dr. Hale always had one more thing to consider. Oh, one more thing. If you do decide to stay in this time, there might be a way you can shorten the interim till the next civilization and give the survivors a leg up against the creeper. It won't matter for you, but for whatever civilization comes next, it could make a big difference. Okay, so Danu's getting all gung-ho about this. I've left info caches on 3 other worlds. Combined, they contain the sum total of everything this civilization learned. They contain the totality of the history of galactic civilizations as we know it. With this knowledge, an emergent civilization could better prepare itself for what would eventually come. Perhaps they could eventually even learn what the purpose of the creeper is and where it originates. Now that does sound like something worth doing, but why did not Director Hale and them already do it? They got to this information first. There's more of them. Presumably they have more resources. They could have probably built more rift engines. Why didn't they, just spread this stuff all over the galaxy? Every world they could find that could possibly, produce life. What is so special about Danu Seloy that requires them to do this? The caches are separated and on 3 other worlds. Too much in any one place, and the creeper would have taken it. The coordinates of these worlds are included in this info cache. If you should take up this challenge, you will need to copy the info caches and visit as many other worlds as possible. Again, why didn't you do this already? Seed each world with a copy of the caches. Help any survivors you might find. In time, if even one of your caches is found, it can make the difference for the civilization to come. I'm on it. You know what I choose. You always knew. Okay, so Danu is all for this, and we're going to try to, get whatever information we can, help the next human civilization survive the creeper. Lastly, Danu, I never had children, but you will always be my kid. Now go get it done. Yes, sir, I'll make you proud. Okay. So we're ready to leave the compound. Yay. Next up is the sequence. But this is the first in, again, the final 3 sprint here. And these are what I like to call the Wambulance Trio. Because from the different feedback, players have said, boy, I really got trouble with this level. These 3 are 3 of the 4, the other one being We Know Nothing, particularly people who, had just played through the demo and had forgotten a bunch of stuff, or they didn't know that towers produce energy and had struggles there. But these have been the ones, other than that have been most, complained about, or people asking, how in the world do you finish those? So we're about to see if I'm equal to the challenge of Creeper World 4, or if there's more coming that I'm not quite ready to deal with. Till we get to that, thanks for watching, everybody. See you soon.